Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. My name is Tonya, and today we are going to be talking about different ways that you can make being a reader more affordable. So I know if you're anything like me, you love having, new books on your bookshelf and the new releases, and just picking up a book kind of for fun that you want to read. So we're going to talk about 5 different areas that you can save money as a reader. Now, some of these you're not going to end up with a physical book. So if that's super important for you, then, obviously some of these options won't be for you. But we're also going to talk about ways you can save money on actual physical books as well. So there should be a little something for everyone. I know I love to go book shopping and pick up the latest and the greatest out there, but it can definitely get expensive. That is for sure. So these are just some ways that you can kind of rein that in a little bit, make reading more affordable, and kind of cut down on those costs a little bit for you. So let's go ahead and get into the ways we can save. So the first area we're going to talk about is ways that you can get free books. So for this one, I kind of have 4 different options on ways you can get free books. The first being your library. I'm sure that is one everyone is aware of. Even if you don't have a library close to you, lots of libraries have great digital selections at this point that you can get through Libby or through Overdrive. So other options out there if you don't have one that's convenient to you. I'm pretty lucky in the fact that I have 3 libraries within about 15 minutes of me. Actually, probably 4, because I can go across the river to Cincinnati also, and they have a very large library. So I am pretty fortunate on the library front, but as I said, if you don't have a library close or convenient to you, there is always their online options as well. The second being, most towns, I think at this point, have little free libraries in them. I know in my area that's a really big thing. I think there's around 50 in the city that I live in. I know not every area has that many, but most areas, I think at this point, have at least a couple of them. So that's another great way that you can get free books as well. Now, with the little free library option, you are kind of limited to whatever is in that little free library, but I still think it's a great option. And then the final way of getting free books is you can sign up for NetGalley, which is a website that has advanced reader copies on it. Anyone can sign up for it. You don't have to have some big following, and it's a great way for you to get new releases while providing feedback to the author and the publisher about their books that are getting ready to come out. I don't have a huge following, but I get tons of ARCs through NetGalley, so it's definitely something anyone can do, and I'll have a link for NetGalley down below in my description box. Then next up, we're going to talk about Book of the Month. Now, you may be saying, how does having a book subscription save me money? Well, what I have found is it averages out, depending on which plan you pick with Book of the Month, it averages out to around $15 a month for a hardback book. So if you are someone who buys 1 to 2 books every month, then this is going to save you money. Now, there is a limited selection. It's usually, they pick out a few new releases or debut authors that they offer each month, but the price is really good. The books that they do kind of curate and pick for people to choose from are always really interesting and, kind of have something unique about them. And another great thing about Book of the Month is if there is a month where you're not so into the books that they've chosen, you can either skip that month and not pay for it, or what I usually do is I just let the credit roll over, and then when there's a month where there may be more than 1 book that I want, then I use that credit. So you won't really be missing out on anything if there's a month that you don't like the selections that are available. You can just use it at a later time. So I like that option, but they also give you the option to skip the cost for that month. Then the third kind of area that we're going to talk on where you can find book saving is through Amazon. Now, I know people poo-poo on Amazon all the time, and I do try to support my independent bookstores and even just any brick and mortar bookstore when I can. But Amazon does have a lot of great services that, if you read a lot of books, are going to save you a lot of money in the long run. So some of the ways you can save with Amazon is, first off, their Kindle Unlimited subscription, which I believe is around $12 or $13 a month. And you get, access to all of their books. There's a lot of indie books on there for free, and just a lot of great titles that you can just read digitally. And yes, you won't have the physical book, but you can still enjoy the book and come out ahead on the costs. Now, if there's books you're interested in that aren't on Kindle Unlimited, there are some other great options. First off, if you're a Prime member, there's Amazon First Reads, and Kindle Unlimited members get to choose one of those books every month for free. Or if you're not a Kindle Unlimited member, one of the titles for that month for $1.99, which is very cheap for a book. So that's another area where you can get some savings on Amazon. Then I have two more that you may or may not be aware of. When you buy books on Amazon, you can get Kindle points, and then you can use those points to buy books for your Kindle that aren't on Kindle Unlimited. I don't always end up getting a ton of points this way, but it's a nice option to have out there. How I do get kind of a lot of rewards is Amazon also offers digital rewards on certain products that you buy for no rush shipping, and I use this one all the time. If I'm ordering something and I don't need it to get to me in 2 days, then I pick the no rush option, and I've gotten anywhere from $1 digital reward up to $3, and then I just save those up and use them to buy Kindle books. I think last year I ended up getting 4 or 5 Kindle books for free using those digital rewards. So it is kind of a great hack to use that option if you ever see it when you're checking out and it's not an item that you really truly need in 2 days. Then you can kind of bank up those rewards and then purchase a book you've been wanting to get for your Kindle. So I use that a lot. Like I said, I know that Amazon is not always people's favorite, but they do have a lot of services and programs that can allow you to read more for a cheaper budget. Now, that being said, I will say, whenever you can, please still, support your independent bookstores and your brick and mortar bookstores. But Amazon does also have a place for readers. In my opinion, they put so many indie books that people would never see on Kindle Unlimited. So yes, they're not perfect, but I do think overall they support the reading community. Then next up, we're going to talk about Pango and Mercari. Now, these are kind of twofold. Pango is a website that you can go on and purchase used books or sell books yourself. And Mercari, I think probably lots of people have heard of Mercari. It is also a selling website, but there's actually a ton of books on there. So it's a good option to use to purchase used books as well, or to sell books that you may have on hand. Now, I will say I've had better luck with Pango as far as selling books than I have on Mercari. I have bought quite a few books off Mercari that were like special editions that I wasn't able to get my hands on otherwise, but I haven't had a lot of luck selling books. Now, Pango, I've had a lot of luck selling books. One thing to keep in mind, if you're listing something on Pango and it's not something like a special edition or something that's out of print, if it's just, kind of your standard book that people may be looking for, make sure you're pricing your books appropriately. You're not going to get the same price for it that you paid for it in the store. And you also have to take into consideration when you're pricing your books that whoever's buying them is also paying shipping. So I always factor that shipping cost into the cost of my books. I place them a little lower. That way, the person doesn't feel like they're being gouged once the shipping cost comes in. And as I said, I've had really good luck. Most of my books sell pretty quickly when I put them on there. And then I can use that money to buy books on Pango, or you can cash it out and then you can use that money to purchase books, at your local bookstore. So that's kind of what I like to do. If I read a book and it's okay, it's not one I'm dying to keep on my bookshelf, I just scan it into Pango. It's super easy to use. And then once I bank up a certain amount of sales, I cash it out and then I go buy new books with it. So I really like that option. I'm not a big fan of like half price books. Now they are somewhere where you can get books at a cheaper price since they are secondhand. I found as far as selling them there, I don't get as much money as I end up getting if I sell them on Pango or something like Mercari. Then my fifth book hack is using cashback apps. Now, I use Ibotta a lot, which for that one, you do have to buy specific items and then scan your receipt afterwards. It's pretty easy to do. And depending on what you buy, you can bank up money pretty quick in that one. And then I also use Fetch Rewards. And that one, you can scan any receipt. Depending on what's on the receipt, you get more points for it. Or if it's nothing that they have an offer on or a partnership with someone on, then you get 25 points for that receipt regardless. So you are earning on every receipt that you scan. And why I like these two apps is they both offer Barnes & Noble gift cards for when you cash out your books. So usually it's pretty easy. I scan my receipts when I get home, or some of them, like through Fetch, you can link your Amazon account to it and it'll kind of automatically look for those receipts. And then once I have enough for a gift card, I cash it out for a Barnes & Noble one, and then I get the joy of going book shopping. So I don't find it to be too much of a hassle to use either of those apps, so I would recommend them. And I will have all of the different sites that I talked about in today's video linked down below. So those are my 5 tips on how you can save money as a reader. I hope you found this video helpful and that some of the tips that I gave were things that you weren't aware of that maybe you can try out and make your reading hobby a little more affordable. If you have tips other than the ones I mentioned today, definitely leave them down below in the comments. That way we can all learn together on other ways we can save money on books. So thank you so much again for being here. Take care, keep reading, and I'll catch you in my next video. Bye.